Good morning, councillors and all those who are present in the chamber and those watching online. I'd like to declare the meeting open at 9:35 a.m. on Thursday the 14th of November 2024. I'd like to acknowledge the Pondamuka people who are the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet. I'd also like to pay respects to the elders past, present and emerging and extend that respect to other Indigenous Australians who are present today. I'll just move through some housekeeping. I'd like to remind you all this meeting is being recorded in audio and video as well as being live streamed online. Councillors are reminded that parliamentary privilege does not extend to the chambers as it does for state and federal parliamentarians, and you are reminded to be cognizant of this in any comments which you may make during the course of this meeting. I would also like to remind councillors to use the microphone when speaking, and for any councillors or officers who are attending virtually to please use the mute button when not speaking. In the event of an evacuation, I would ask that you remain calm and follow my directions. The emergency exit is through the gallery of doors on your left and down the stairwell to exit onto Glenfield Street. Agenda item number 2 is leave of absence, and I've not been advised, I've been advised that 2 councillors are teleconferencing in today to the special meeting. And I have a mover and seconder that Councillor Paul Gollay be permitted to participate in the meeting via teleconference. Thank you, Councillor Bishop and Councillor Gollay. Put the motion.
Aye.
You can't vote.
Online I'll just hold that, so that's unanimous, and that is, do I get this one if it's unanimous? No.
Well,
Yep. Thank you.
Noting
That Councillor Guy and Councillor Hewlett are online. And can I also have a mover and second that Councillor Lance Hewlett is permitted to participate in the meeting via teleconference? Moved by Councillor Tolty, seconded by Councillor Colley. Put the motion. And also unanimous. Thank you. Councillor Gollay, you could vote for that motion, sorry. Councillor Gollay, are you there? Fine, thank you.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can, thank you, Councillor Gollay. And just for the record, I also know that Councillor Hewlett voted in the previous motion. No, he couldn't vote. Oh, sorry. I can't vote in the
Has not been admitted yet.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so Councillor Hewlett, for the record, did not vote for the previous motion. So both those motions are carried. Moving into agenda item number 3, declaration of prescribed conflict.
Hello, yes I can.
Yeah, you're not allowed to.
Can you hear me?
So Councillor Hewlett, just for explanation, when we voted for Councillor Gollay to enter the meeting or be permitted to enter into the meeting,
I said aye. I turned my microphone on. But
yeah. I'm just explaining or just clarifying that because you hadn't yet been admitted, you couldn't vote at that point.
Oh, okay, no, I'm with you, sorry.
Yeah. No worries.
Okay, thank you.
So moving on to agenda item number 3, which is the declaration of prescribed interest or conflicts of interest. Councillors are reminded of their responsibility in relation to a councillor's prescribed conflict of interest and declarable conflict of interest at a meeting. Details of these responsibilities are also outlined in the agenda. Please be reminded that all interests need to be declared at a statutory meeting of council. These declarations can also be made at any time throughout the meeting. Just a reminder that under section 150 EF of the Act, the conflict of interest provision do not apply for ordinary business matters solely relating to the making or levying of rates and charges or the adoption of a budget, and I've not been advised that there are any conflicts of interest. Moving on to agenda item number 4.
Pardon me, Madam Chair. Might need to clarify, do you have a conflict of interest?
In relation to,
Well, I understand we're discussing the recruiter as part of this meeting today
yeah,
for the recruitment process, and bearing in mind that we are live. And I don't know if there are any conversations or communications that would be at issue. So I'm just confirming that you've considered that. And
yes, I've considered that, and I don't believe I've got any conflicts of interest. I met the recruiter at the Alba conference as a stallholder there, so I do not consider the recruiter to be a friend or have any special interest with the recruiter.
thank you.
Sorry, yes, Councillor Bishop?
I was just, given that question, I was just wondering whether any questions along those lines had been asked prior to us being live today, that's all, just as a courtesy.
No, that's the first one that I've heard it raised. Yeah. Apart from, I should actually outline, I guess, that there are communications from Councillor Tolte, prior to this meeting. Councillor Mitchell?
Yes, apologise, things have moved quickly, so we really haven't had a lot of opportunity to talk amongst each other. But it's probably, I'll ask the question actually both to you and to the deputy, because both on the panel in turn. It's just to clarify on that matter, it's really, because we are discussing the panel today, and it is important on the public record, has there been any correspondence, I guess, written or verbal, with the recruiter or any of the applicants regarding either the process or any of the applicants? So, because that, and I'm happy to ask that to both, because you're both on the panel, or potentially on the panel.
Well, I can, through you, Madam Chair, do you want me to answer?
Sorry, that has not been shared with the rest of the panel. That's probably the important point, sorry, that I'm looking at.
Yeah, and Andrew, do you want to make a comment here about the process?
Yeah, through you, Chair, thank you. That question seems more lean at process of the recruitment. Certainly, issues of conflicts of interest need to be raised in open session. We will be briefing councillors on the recruitment process and communications during the process in the closed session.
So I understand, there's been other conflicts of interest raised as part of this process, and they've been sought to be dealt with. But I guess that's for the discussion later as far as
I'm unaware of any of those. It's just a genuine question to both of the Mayor and the Deputy.
I think it's a process question.
I think it's a process question. Councillor Maglari?
I just thought I'd better say that I might have a conflict of interest then, because I also spoke to that recruiter at the conference, if that's going to be a conflict. But I didn't talk about this process, I just spoke to him and introduced myself, and I knew who he was. So if it's being brought up who spoke to him, I should probably say I spoke to him. Well, you asked the Mayor if she had a conflict about speaking to him, so I just thought I'd better.
No, I didn't.
Anyway, we're talking across the floor,
Yes,
Councillor Tolte,
apologies,
and not
but
through, and
The
not
Mayor's
through the
just said
chair.
that wasn't a conflict, so therefore it's not.
And can I also ask, have there been any conversations about these emails and everything before today that might be a conflict of interest? We're talking about emails. Has there been any conversations within certain councillors, and not all councillors, on this? Where some councillors might have information that other councillors don't. That might be conflict. Councillor Rendell?
Just picking up Councillor
Microphone.
Just picking up Councillor Baglari's and Councillor Mitchell's comments. I think Councillor Baglari's, exactly right that in the addendum to the meeting minutes or the meeting agenda, there are issues raised in respect to the processes. It's a conflict.
Councillor Reynolds, Councillor Reynolds, I just have a legal officer with his hand up.
Thank you. We shouldn't be referring to a confidential report. The agenda item at present is to deal with conflicts of interest, and that is conflicts between your personal interests and your public duties to decide and consider this matter in confidence.
Okay.
Ultimately, in the public interest, we shouldn't be referring specifically to any confidential report.
Okay, I'll retract that. But taking Councillor Baglari's point, the question, and I think Councillor Mitchell alluded to it as well, is were there any communications between the councillors, including you, Madam Mayor, and the recruiter that weren't shared with the rest of the panel?
So I think this goes to process, and this can be discussed, as we said before, in confidential. In relation to, I'll come back to Councillor Tolte's question to clarify. I can safely say, because the question's been asked to me, that I don't consider the recruiter a friend. I met him, as I said, at the Elder Conference for the first time, and spoke to him there. I subsequently saw him at the GAQ conference. There's been communication around this process. We've got emails going backwards and forwards, and I think we can discuss the rest there, but no, I don't consider I have a conflict of interest at all.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also note in your response you didn't answer my very specific question.
What was your very specific question, Councillor?
Following on from Councillor Baglari, referencing, that emails that are exchanged may influence how one perceives this, my very specific question
Can I just clarify what I said?
My very specific question was there correspondence between you and the recruiter that wasn't shared with other council members of the recruitment panel?
I think this again is process, so I think we can discuss it outside. Did you want to clarify something out in the confidential session?
My clarification was this is about emails and this process. My question was, did councillors have a meeting where all councillors weren't there to discuss this? And were all councillors given some information that other councillors weren't given? Because it seems to be very pointed at the moment, and I'd just like to say what other meetings than that occurred?
Happy to
It might be,
answer the original question.
it might be.
In that I do not have a conflict, Madam Mayor.
Okay, so Councillor Barry, there's no answer to your question, but that no one believes they have a conflict. All right. Now I have a mover and a seconder. The meeting moves into closed session. This item on the agenda is confidential in accordance with section 254J of the Local Government Regulation 2012. To discuss the matter, we must move into closed session. Mover and seconder, Councillor Barry.
I'm actually happy to move the motion as it is and not go into confidential. I move the motion as it is.
We're not at that item.
Hang on,
We can move the motion without going into confidential.
We're not at that item.
Who's the standing orders properly?
Okay, so Councillor Barry, you are moving, seeking to move.
the confidential.
Oh. Andrew, Ross?
I just don't feel we have to go into confidential. We've got a motion and I'm happy to move it.
Okay, so I've got a mover and a seconder.
Yeah, I'll put the motion then.
Yes, okay.
Madam Mayor, I move that we leave that matter on the table while we go into confidential, please.
I put the motion, I put the motion before.
Okay, if I could just take a minute and we'll just clarify. All right, I've just had some advice that first motion, moving into closed session, was moved. So we'll move, do we want to go into closed?
So Wendy can vote against that if she wants to.
Can I have an indication on if we need to go into closed session?
Yes, we do.
All right. Okay, can I have a mover and a second to go into closed session? Moved by Councillor Colley, seconded by Councillor Mitchell. Put the motion.
Aye.
Okay, so that's Councillor Mitchell, Councillor Rendles, Councillor Tolte, Councillor Mackenzie, Councillor Hughes, Councillor Colley, and online we have
Aye.
Councillor Hewlett, Councillor Golly, and against Councillor Boglari, Councillor Bishop, and myself. Motion's carried. And we now move into closed session. Okay, all right, now move that we move back into open session and moved by councillor Толti, seconded by councillor Bishop, councillor Mitchell.
Sure.
Okay, councillor Mitchell, those in favour? And online we have councillor Guy and councillor Hewlett.
Aye.
Thank you, councillor Guy. Councillor Hewlett, are you there?
Aye.
Thank you, and it's carried unanimously. Thank you, that's carried unanimously. All right, now we have our amended motion on the screen. Can I have a mover for the recommendation, councillor Mitchell, seconded by councillor Толti? Those in favour? Thank you. And online?
Aye.
Thank you, that's an affirmative from councillor Hewlett and an affirmative from councillor Guy. It's carried unanimously. Now, thank you, everyone. Please ensure that your attendance has been logged in diligent boards. I now declare the meeting closed at 12:22 on Thursday, the 14th of November.